I recently saw a post on Twitter and I wanted to comment on it, but for the first time in the history of this channel, I actually removed the name of the person who posted this. In fact, you're going to notice on one occasion she is quote tweeting somebody responding to her, and I even deleted her name on that because not out of respect for her, and you'll find out why in a minute, out of respect for the third person involved in this situation. And I'm going to read you the whole thing first, and then we're going to talk about it, if I can control myself. I have a married guy friend whose company I enjoy and who I love to pieces. We've been friends for years, since before the marriage. When we do link, it's 97% innocent. His wife is completely hetero, yet he wants me to covertly assist him in attempting to persuade her to allow me into their relationship after I semi-sincerely suggested it while drunk one night. I know he likes me a lot and wants to possess me, and I'm also aware that I appeal to him in ways his wife could never. His best friends tell him, his best friend tells me how often he talks about me and is also co-signing his committing to me and integrating me into his relationship. They were even discussing him buying a bigger house to accommodate me the last time I saw them. While I'm not really interested, I must say I found the idea titillating. I like challenges and almost want to purely for the sake of seeing if I'd succeed. That is the first one she posted. Then she posted a second tweet related to that one where she said, "The secret sister wives always have so much smoke for women who aren't opposed to being in that position knowingly. We are the same." No, you're not. I just have more security, courage, pragmatism, and emotional maturity than you all. When you're a second baby mother, or your boyfriend has a baby mother he also attends to, what do you think you are? When you're in a situationship, quote unquote, with a man that you're not exclusive with, who's fucking other women, what do you think you are? When you've been cheated on and you stay, what do you think you are? Most of y'all have sister wives. Y'all just haven't met them yet. And instead, opt to pretend like they don't exist because it's easier. Where there's smoke for him, it's his wife. This is what he wants. I'm just not completely against the idea. I'm not sneaking. We hang out as just friends generally. I'm the one trying to convince him to leave his truth if this is what he wants. And she's responding to said quote tweet I mentioned earlier. I like how people justify their weird behavior by convincing themselves everyone else is doing the same thing. Delusional, strange behavior. I actually agree with that person. So I guess I didn't copy it. But there was a post where she actually explained that they've been together in the intimate sense 3 times in the 5 years that they've known each other. 3 times in 5 years is not the same as 97% of the time. I don't know how many times you see each other. It could be 3 out of 100 or it could be 3 out of a million. I don't know. I just know that the math ain't mathing. But let's go back to the beginning so we see why I got so incensed. First of all, she says, I have a married guy friend whose company I enjoy and who I love to pieces. No problem. I have a lot of friends on both genders and sexes and we love each other to pieces. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. We've been friends for years. Notice the emphasis on years. Since before the marriage. There's something about the way she said that kind of bothers me. When we do link, it's 97% innocent. Then she goes on. I'm not going to read it again. I just want you to understand where my brain is at this particular point. The first thing she mentions is that the wife is heterosexual but that the husband is trying to convince her to become part of a threesome. Then later on the second post, she mentions that we all lack the emotional maturity to understand what's happening. I've been married for 36 years. Maybe I am emotionally immature, but I can tell you one thing. I am not interested in being the second banana to nobody. I'm not. If this guy was so interested in you and has been so interested in you in all this time, why did he marry somebody else? Why would you put yourself in a position where you're a second banana to the wife? Now, mind you, this girl just mentioned something about buying a bigger house so that they all can live together. If anything was to happen to the dude, do you really think you have a leg to stand on? She'll kick you out the next day. If not, before the body's cold. I don't know why women think that knowingly getting involved with a man who's married, whatever the situation is somehow some sort of win. I'm not saying that people don't fall in love and out of love and in love and out of love, and that they sometimes the relationships overlap. Yes, I've seen many relationships when a guy is between two girls or a girl is between two guys, and if you talk to them, they think that they care about both people the same. But as you go ahead and start unraveling the relationships, you realize more often than not, they're getting different things from both people. And that's why they can't commit to either, because each person is giving them something different. So the whole line about, I give him stuff that she couldn't possibly, guess what, honey? So can anybody else. I am married to my husband, and I'm sure if I found myself in love with somebody else, that person would be bringing something to the table that my husband probably couldn't bring to the table. Why? Because they're different. I purposely married somebody that was a contrarian to me, meaning he was politically my opposite in Puerto Rico and politically my opposite here in the United States. And we made it work because in the important things, in thoughts like women's reproductive rights, in the rights of LGBTQ community, and those things, we both agreed. When we got married and eventually I got pregnant, we both wanted the same things for our daughter. It is one of those things where we had a lot of things that we agreed on, but we had a lot of things that we, to this day, disagree on. I don't care for sports. I mean, I'll go and watch them live. But to sit in the living room watching a sports game, unless it's the Super Bowl, I don't really care. And on the Super Bowl, I usually watch so I can watch halftime and the commercials. And now that they're showing commercials 1 and 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, I really don't have to watch the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. I don't. I just have to come in when the people start singing and go out. If I like whoever's performing, because if I don't like whoever's performing, the entire Super Bowl will go by and I don't know about it. But that's how I am. And my husband doesn't like a lot of things that I like. You know, we're not the same person. This whole idea that you marry your soulmate and your soulmate has the exact same that's baloney. If you are marrying your soulmate, chances are you guys don't agree on pretty much anything. Because the whole point is that in time, you both are going to go ahead and melt both your views into one. My husband didn't care one way or another for museums. I get excited about some sort of thing on a museum, and he gets excited for me. When we moved to Maryland, the first thing he took me to was the Smithsonian. Why? Smithsonian has like 450,000 buildings in Washington, D.C., and I'm being sarcastic. But he had been because they have the Air and Space Museum, and my husband is an Air and Space Museum nut. He loves NASA. He loves all that stuff. But he also knew that there were other museums in the area that were very interesting to me. So the first thing he did on the first weekend that we were both off and we could both just spend the whole weekend doing whatever, he took me to the Smithsonian. And we both had a great time. He took me to see the stuff that he loved, And then he took me to see stuff that he knew I liked, because obviously I had never been, so I didn't know where to go. That is what happens when two soulmates meet. Y'all teach each other stuff that you think somebody else, the other person, will find interesting. Has nothing to do with being the same person or liking the exact same things. If you all like the same exact things, you're probably going to be bored out of your mind within a couple of years. Then one of you will grow in one direction and the other will grow in the other, and then you'll be divorced within the year because you don't know how to behave when one of you two likes something that the other one didn't like. Really? But why am I telling you all this? Because this girl is trying to justify her behavior. Clearly, she likes him more than she lets on. And she thinks it's okay to say, well, because, when a guy has two girls or when there's two baby mamas or whatever, whataboutism has never been an excuse for your bad behavior. Never. And it will never be. You know why? Because your bad behavior is yours to own. If you want to be with this man so bad, be with the guy. Be just another notch on his belt. I can guarantee you, all of a sudden, his interest in you is not going to be the same. It is what it is. You're a fool if you think that he's going to care about you as much as he cares about you now. Because the chase is what he cares about right now. Again, if this guy really liked you so much, he would have married you, not the other person. And at the end of the day, you can talk about sister wives all day long. But guess what? Sister wives, at least as far as I know, they don't sleep in the same bed with the same guy at the same time. Each one of them has a schedule. Okay? That's very different than a threesome, which is what he's talking about. But even if you guys end up not having a threesome, just having two girls living in the same house with the guy, which I don't know any married woman that would willingly go into that unless she is an abused wife, unless she has an open marriage and she doesn't care, which is a completely different story. But if this is an average person that married her husband and hopes to be faithful with her husband, she's not going to go for it. Unless there's some self-esteem issue that she has to deal with, like you do. Because you can talk a big game as much as you want on social media, but the reality is that your self-esteem is in the gutter if you really think that a married man is the only thing you can aspire to be with. And I don't understand how many times I have to say this. And I'm not talking about people who have open marriages or have arrangements in their relationship. Like, if you want to cheat, go ahead and cheat because, I don't know, maybe they have some sort of disease and they cannot perform sexually. So they don't mind if their spouse goes looking for something sexual on the side or whatever. Or if they have the work wife or the work husband or whatever. If the couple has some sort of arrangement, that's a different story. I'm not talking to those people. I'm not talking to people that have decided that they don't care if their husband cheats so long as he comes home every night. I'm talking to people who are single and for some reason are interested in somebody that they know is married. If he's trying to convince you, to convince her to get on a threesome, she's not in for it. And you're a fool for thinking that he cares about you as much as you think he does. He doesn't. He likes the chase. He's probably always been with the other one because you said, I believe, 5 years. He's been married. Let's say he's been married for a year. He probably dated her for 2 or 3 years. Maybe he was dating her and he was hanging out with you. And the entire time he was trying to figure out, but he decided he liked the other one better. It doesn't really matter how long they've dated. Bottom line is he married her. He didn't marry you because he didn't want to be with you. One thing about being friends with a guy and keeping him at arm's length, even though you kind of want to have something with him, is the fact that he gets to know you completely because you're friends. And what ends up happening is that he figures out way before he has to, what he likes and what he doesn't like about you. If this is a smart man, he compared you to the girl that he ended up marrying, and he realized that she ticked most of the boxes and you didn't. And that's why he married her. And one day you're going to wake up and realize that the problem with the self-esteem and the lack of emotional maturity is on your side, not on everybody else's. Everybody was trying to give you good advice, and you decided that no, they just don't have the emotional maturity to understand that all men cheat. All men don't cheat. I know a lot of men that don't cheat. I know a lot of men who purposely look for excuses to be with their wife as much as possible just so that they don't have a chance to cheat. I know men that are what we call dogs because they will sleep with anybody, and the minute they commit to a person, that persona is gone. They are just concentrating on that person. I know men who have been wrong in the past, and I mean wrong not because they cheated, I mean wrong because that was not an arrangement in their marriage, so they shouldn't have done it. And one day they find this one girl, and that's the girl that they never cheat on, because that's the real one that fulfills them entirely. Because make no mistake about it, unless your husband is a narcissist or a complete idiot, most men who cheat, and most people who cheat, regardless of gender, most people who cheat because there's something missing in their relationship. It has nothing to do with you being a good person. You probably a very good person, and they probably adore you, but they're missing something, and they think, and this is the key part, they think that they can fulfill it by going with somebody else. More often than not, what they realize is that no, that's not it, and they try to figure out another way if they're lucky enough to get back in good graces with their loved one. I know a lot of people who have been through that kind of struggle, and they have managed to reinvent their marriage because it takes a lot of work, and sometimes it does take counseling, but it takes a lot of work for them to figure out what is it that they're missing so that they don't look outside the marriage. I know people that have, I guess, cheated mentally but not physically, and they have a conversation with their spouse, and they find ways to solve that also. But they're 9 times out of 10, the people that I know that have cheated with their spouse, it has been because they're missing something and they think another person is going to fill it. And 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. I would love to know what you think about this particular story. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.